Hello guys, welcome again to another video, and I want to congratulate you all that have sticked around so far. We've gone through so many things in the introductory part, and now we are in the part 2, and here we'll be talking about data structure, and we're starting off with lists. All right, I will be taking it slow with you guys because there will be no documentation for this, so we'll be seeing our screen, and it will be a hands-on classes where you'll be trying it out as we go through. Please feel free to play the videos again. I will try to make it short and you enjoy it. All right, let's start off. All right, so we'll be starting off with lists. And in list, now what do we mean by list? Just see list as a multi-value variable. Now, before now, we've been doing variables, right? Where we say something is equal to something. Like, let's say sum. Sum is equal to 2 plus 2, right? And we say we want to print sum. Yeah. So this is a variable because we are assigning just one value into this, because by the time we add 2 plus 2, it gives us 4. So we are assigning 4 into sum. So this is a variable. Now, this is just a single value variable. But now list, you can see list as a multi-value variable, like I said, whereby you can put in more than one variables. Imagine by just separating it by a comma and saying 5 and another value 6, another value 1. But then you need to start off with this. Very important. To declare a list, you need to have this here, and it's a square bracket actually. A square bracket. So we have to have a square bracket opening and a square bracket closing. This shows that your list is starting now, and these are the items inside this list. First thing I would like you to be aware of is that in a list, you may have different data type in a list. Let me take that again. The elements inside the list may have different types. That means to say you can have an integer and have a float number here, and you might also have a string value, something like this is a string value, and you can have something like true here, boolean. Different, you say they are all different kind of data type actually in a list. So you just put that in mind. You can have different data types in a list. And for you to confirm this, you could just go ahead to run this code. The name of my Python code. Oh, sorry, I've not saved that. That is still had in memory the last code. Yeah, you see, I printed what is inside sum, which is print now for 5.0, and this exactly that is just what is inside my list. So you can have like something like this. So let us see some examples. Indexes. How do we identify the values inside the list? You know, for instance, let's say I want to print just this guy, this third guy. You know, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 elements in this list, and I want to print this guy, which is the third value in the list, which is my name. You know, when you want to say the value inside the brackets, which selects one element of the list, is called the index. So if I want to get this just one element, that is the index, the number that selects this particular my name. Now, the operation of selecting this element called my name is known as indexing. Number 4 here, the value there is, the value for number 4 is 0. The value for for 5.5, which is second guy, is 1. The value for my name is 2, and the value for true is 3. Now, if you notice, we know we have 4 elements here, which are 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them are separated by a comma. Now, if you notice here, it is starting from 0 and not from 1 through 4, but instead from 0 through to 3. And that is because when you are indexing or you want to call out numbers in a list, it starts from 0. Please note that whenever you are trying to get, or whenever you are trying to go through elements in a list, it starts from 0. Please note that it starts from 0. So therefore, the item index 0 calls 4. Index 0, the value 0, index 0 calls 4. Index 1 calls 5.5. Index 2 calls my name, and index 3 calls true. And I will use the numbers now. So let's say we have these, we have, let me just put random numbers there. All right, so we have 5 values here now. So that means we have one more index here, which is going to be 4. All right. So let us print this again. Let me save this and run it. Yeah, so we have 5 guys here. So the very first thing I will want to show you about list is to update a new value here, or let me say to assign a new value. Let's say I want to add this very first one, which is number 4 here, which is 4. I want to change it to 5. I don't have 5 here, so I want to change this number 4 to 5. You remember now I've printed is just 4, 10, 7, 3, 1. Now I want to change this thing to 5. Remember you call it by index. So to get the index of 4, which is very first item, is 0. Item 0. So to do that, I'll just say, what's the name of my variable? Sum, right? Open a square bracket, then the index is 0. Now inside this index, I can then assign it to be equal to 5. Before I assign it to be 5, let me just comment that out. Let's see what that prints out. So you see, it's printing out just 4. Let us run for index 1. What does it print out? Let's see. Index 1. It prints out 10. So let me print out the last item here, which is index 4. You see, it's printing out 1 because that is the last item, right? All right, so before we move on quickly to another thing, let me just quickly mention that it is very, very allowed and possible to use a negative index. So what we are seeing here, outside there, is almost the same thing as saying that we have something like this. Yes, let's see. No, the very last one is going to be minus 5. Don't worry, okay. Don't worry, we'll explain that later. Just about now. Minus 1. So this minus 1 here simply points to this one, which is also like 4. So the very last item on your list, regardless of whatever number, when you call minus 1, you are definitely pointing to the last item there. For you to see it, let us put a minus 1 here. Minus 1 here. Then let us print that. Let's see what that returns. You see, it's returning 1. So if I want to print this second one, I'll just say minus 2. And that works too. Yeah, it definitely works. See, that gives us 3. But then, please, whenever you are using a negative number or a positive number, do not exceed the index number. Now, the index number here is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5. So if I should run minus 5, I should still be very fine. You see, I got a 4, which is minus 5, like we said. Now, do not try to run minus 6 because that is outside of the index. It will not come back to 1. So if I should save this and I say I run it, you see, it says list index out of range. List index out of range. Same thing applies to this guy here. If I try to run index 5, no, index 4 is still safe. So if I run index 4, it returns my last item here. But then if I try to if I try to check for index 5, let's see what it says. Just exact the same issue we got, out of range. So do not try to, either you are using the negative value, do not try to exceed it on the negative side, or when you are using the positive values, do not exceed the numbers of items inside that guy. So here we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can only stop at 4. If I should try to run 5, it would not be fine. All right, so let us remember we are trying to update this number 4, this index 0, which is 4. We want to try to change it to 5. So let us say this is how to do that. So you just call it as a variable there, then you just put it equal to 5. And yes, let us now print our sum again. And let's say print sum. That's all. Let us print our sum again. So this first one should print this, and this first one should print this, and this second one should print a 5 added to it. So let us run that. Let's see. You see, something has changed. 5 is now there because we've updated our 0, this guy, to be 5. Our index, the index 0 of sum. So what's the index 0 of sum, which is the first item here? It has been updated to become 5. So when we printed our sum again, it's no more 4, 10, 7, 3, 1, but now 5, 10, 7, 3, 1. Okay. So there are some cool things we might want to experiment here, we're talking about lists. One of them is the len function. How do you use the len function? It's very simple. It's just a function where you put len and the name of the list, the variable, the list variable. So when I say len, I put it into a bracket like that. So if I want to print this, so what this does is it gets the length of the list called sum. So it gets the length of the list called sum. So it comes here and gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see how many items do we have as sum. We have 5 elements inside there. So that is the length of the list sum. That is that for that function. Very, very simple. It's just used to call the length. So how do we remove an element from a list? There's an instruction called delete. It is not a function or a method, no. It is called delete, del. So that is it. It is just an instruction. So when I say del and I say number, when I say del and I call the list variable, which is sum, and okay, let me change my list to scores. Yeah, so let me call it scores. Right. Yeah, so let's call it scores. And so let's delete this item 10. Or let's just say delete 1. Alright, so let us try to print the value of scores now. So you see we deleted 10 because we are deleting this number, this index 1 here. All right. So any of the list item may be removed at any time. This is just done with this instruction del for delete, as I've mentioned. So you and it is also important that you have to point the element to be removed. You have to point the element to be removed. So if I wish to remove this item, this 7, I'll just say 2, and let's say remove. So it is no more there. 7 is no more there. And remember, the length is reduced to 4, not going to be replaced with any other thing. All right, so let's quickly see this exercise, and let me call this new list. Right, new list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say 5, and let me close that. And okay, so this is the quick test. All right, I believe you've paused the video at this point to solve it. So, without wasting much of a time, I want to believe you've been able to get a solution. But if not, it's fine. Let us continue. I will show you just the solution now in a moment. All right. So we've been asked to write a line of code that prompts the user to replace the middle number with an integer number entered by the user. Okay, so to replace the middle number from this list, you already know that this list, the middle number here is 3, right? And to replace this number 3 here, we have to go to the index where it is. And the index is 0, 1, 2, definitely 2. So I can just call the index 2 by saying new list index 2 is equal to, want to get an integer input this time. Oh, sorry, I think all right, okay. So we have this input here, then we open a new bracket, and what are we trying to input? So we could just say, uh, okay, we can just say replace the middle number with, let's say with any number actually. Yeah, so that this one should replace this the middle number, the index 2, with the number we are trying to impute. Okay, so now we have to write a line of code that removes the last element from the list. So to remove the last element from the list, definitely we have to use the del instruction from new list. So delete from new list. But what are we trying to do? The last item. To remove the last item, remember I said we could use -1, which is also pointing to the very last item here. Now the last thing is to write a line of code, just still one line of code that prints the length of the existing list. Now what is the length of the existing list? Remember we have to use the function print. So we could just say length of the existing list is, and let's say is what? Length of new list. Okay, I think I. And I run my code. So replace the middle number with what number should I replace that? So let's say 9. 3 times 3 is 9. So let me enter. Yeah, so we've replaced 1, 2 is still fine. Then we've replaced 3 with 9. And if you notice, we've also deleted the last element, which is 5. So we have just this. And it's also printing the length of the existing. Oh, existing list is 4. All right, so you just notice that. Okay, it's 4, which is fine. All right, so I will be seeing you in the next video where we'll talk more about lists. Catch ya.